Wow. By the way, what's up, everybody? Wellness Week Live. I am DJ Tony, Magnus, PhD. Hey, we're two friends. We're not giving you medical advice. Always check out the healthcare professionals. By the way, I got this new, this is not what the show's about, but I feel like bring it on. I eat salad every day, and I don't eat iceberg lettuce. Iceberg lettuce is bullshit. You need to eat kale, spinach, something like that. But I got this new uh, salad dressing, and let me tell you, this is amazing. This stuff. I don't know if you can see it, but hold on a second. Let me see.
We should get sponsored.
Yeah, like this is really good, man. I'm down with this. Like you put a little bit. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Hold on.
Do it.
Hey,
there you go. Good job.
Yeah, I know. In other shows, you're probably supposed to edit that, but screw it. Dude. So, but this salad dressing is amazing, folks. Like, if you don't have it, go out and buy it. It's amazing. It's I love it. Anyways, I figured I mentioned it. So, anyways, we're going to talk about two things today. Talking about food, the French paradox. What is that? And should you take off your shoes before you go into your house? What are the health benefits or health detriments to it? Okay, so let's talk about the French paradox. So, Magnus, I'm sure you know what this is because you're European. And if you don't know, folks, what the French paradox is, it has to do with Americans. We eat shit, we eat fat, not fat, fat's not bad, but we eat junk food and drink and smoke, and we die of heart attacks left and right. The French, they smoke, they drink, they eat fatty foods, and essentially they don't die of heart attack. I mean, they have heart disease there, obviously, but it seems to be lower per capita, per person, per square mile than in America. How's that possible? And they call it the French paradox. It's an exception to the rule. Some people may say the French record their health records and studies differently. That's another show. But anyway, so Magnus, what do you think is the reason why? I think we're going to agree here, but what do you think is the reason why the French can smoke, drink, eat fatty foods, and they live longer, healthier, happier lives than us Americans who kind of almost eat the same stuff, but we die left and right and we have unhealthier lives?
So I think this is a multi-layered question and answer. So we're probably gonna go through, and again, like you said, comparing data and data, like they need to be collected the same way and so on. But if we put that aside, I would start out first of all is portion size. So if we're looking at French and their cuisine, they always go with small portions. They're very like, I mean, cooking something like if you do it real French style, it could take 2 weeks to accomplish something. And what do you end up with? Something boiled down, super, that has a lot of flavor to it and so on. But I think one of the biggest part is definitely portion size.
Right. And let me just say this. So, right. And I think people hear that portion size, they don't understand like what that means in reality. So in reality, just to give you an idea, because if people haven't been to Europe, France particularly, but like when I was in Italy, right? You get a bowl of pasta in Italy. Okay, the bowl of pasta is about, I don't know, like that's the bowl almost, okay? That's the bowl of pasta in Italy, okay? In America, that bowl is about like easily almost 3 times the size. So that's what it really means to have portion, right? So France is going to have much smaller portions of the same food. Okay, go ahead, Magnus.
And looking at another thing too, I mean, I think it's like cultural too, is that French people are smaller. I'm not saying that like, oh, they're shorter or anything like that. No, they're just more like they're smaller. Like we're looking at people that they have, like women have size 0, 2.
Well, there's a reason for that too.
But. Yeah, and I think it's a cultural thing too, that like you are not supposed to be a big human.
Well, I would say they're bigger human, not to go down this rabbit hole, but okay, so yeah, Americans are probably the biggest humans on earth. That's not because we're American. That's because all of our food is fortified indirectly or directly, and we consume the steroids and the chemicals that our cattle and our chickens and our fish consume. We consume that, and so that makes us bigger. Where in Europe and other countries, they don't have as much chemical laden foods like we do. And of course, the portion sizes, yes. But I think we're consuming we are. I know for a fact we're consuming the steroids that the cattle are consuming.
Yeah,
we're eating the cattle. So that means I think that's why, and also the portion sizes.
Yeah, no, and also like I would mention food quality too. Like in Europe and especially French, the farmers are still a very important group in society. I don't know if you ever have heard that the farmers are basically going on strike.
Right.
And when they go on strike, they don't mess around. They basically can take their tractors, drive into the middle of Paris, and then they dump basically manure everywhere, or block the whole, like all the highways into major cities like
Right. Right.
Paris, I should say. I'm just basically saying it in a Swedish accent. But so I think like they're both in society and in politics, there's such a big group, and also have a lot of say. And farming is not completely just these giant corporations. You still have the small farmers and things like that. You still go to farmers market. A lot of pesticides and food additives and things like that that are allowed in the States are not allowed in Europe. So I think like multi-layered, just looking at for something like wheat. If you eat bread in, for instance, Europe, the wheat we have is completely different from the
100%
ones that
different.
get.
Right.
So that's just another thing. So I
Right.
think all these, like you mentioned, these chemicals, these changes definitely have an impact on
Right.
on people for
Yeah.
sure.
Also, the French, another part of the paradox is, unlike America, well, every place on earth has more walking and
Yes.
moving than America.
Yeah.
So the French are no different. The French is compared to America. Obviously, the French have cars and buses and boats and planes and mopeds, but France is more of a pedestrian society, where America, we eat pasta bread. And what do? Sit down on the couch, more dessert. The French are getting up, they're walking. They don't drive everywhere. So I think that's the other reason why they have better heart health than we do. They do smoke, yes, but I also think France, unlike America, and really almost every part of the world except America, France is a very open society in the sense of people, they know their neighbors, they talk, they have more relationships with friends and colleagues and acquaintances. Where in America, we're all on our phone. I get it. They got phones in France too, but America, we're so closed off. And I think that's another reason why the French are healthier, because when you have social connections, physical, face to face, you are healthier. You have greater heart health. So this kind of protects the French from the smoking and the drinking and the fatty foods. And so, by the way, they're eating fatty foods, but they're not eating necessarily processed carbs. So fat's not bad.
Or processed fat.
Correct. So they're having like your cheese, but cheese has many vitamins and minerals and nutrients. So yeah, duck, things like that, even horse. But I mean, right. So it's the lifestyle. They're getting up and walking. They're connecting with people.
It's similar. It's similar to like looking at the blue zones, right? Then we're talking about the blue zones always have like social interaction.
Yeah, Greece.
It's such an important part. Yeah, and like looking at like Italy, Japan, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think like looking at all these things like kind of, so I was thinking the same thing with the social interaction. And like you see also like, okay, French people, they enjoy their wine, things like that. Here in the States, you see way more people are like drinking beer, and they're drinking maybe a glass of scotch, things like that.
By the way, a glass in America is like 4 glasses in France, though. Like a glass of wine in France is like the size of this microphone, almost like that size, very small. And a glass in America, look at the size, it's like almost double. It's just huge. So yeah, a glass of wine in America is almost
and you know as well, as we talked about this before, a lot of people here in the States, they drink when they come home from work to kind of relax and things like that. They might be drinking by themselves, or maybe with their partner. It's seldom that you're sitting down and eating a dinner together with your family in that way, or that you maybe have your neighbors over, or grandparents or whatnot.
Right.
So it's very, very different. So sitting down and drinking by yourself, I don't think that is that common in France
Right.
compared to the
Again,
States.
it's those family ties, the friendship ties, the knowing your neighbors, and America, we don't have that really here. It's just eat and sit and Netflix and chill and go and kill yourself with pasta bread, chips, cake, cookies, muffins. Yeah, so that's the French paradox. So it's funny because it's not really a mystery if you really look into it. It's common sense. They get up every day, they walk every day, they make connections every day. You know, portion control, portion sizes. You know, and even if they smoke, I would make the argument they're not like Americans smoking. They might have a cigarette, and that's kind of that. In America, it's like everyone's going, you know, they can't stop. So it's interesting.
And it's a little bit more like, I think that like American culture is that you have to do things like a little bit to the extreme. Like it has to be bigger and better than
Right.
the rest of the world.
Right.
And sometimes that could kind of backfire, especially when it comes to like eating and drinking, right? And also it's something that you need to remember about Europe. We like the cities and the streets are not built like, you remember, they're old, so they were not really built for cars to start out with. Like I say, you walk in, and we don't have the drive-through culture or things like that. No. You basically have to step out. You have to go into the bank, or like nowadays you do online banking anyway. But I'm just trying to like prove a point, is that like you move around different, and you and that adds up. I mean, like walking 7,000 steps or walking 3,000 steps is a huge difference when it comes to like overall health.
100%. Listen, I wasn't in France, but I was in Italy, and you know, close enough. And I remember when I was there, after we had dinner every night, the families that I was with, I'm like, where the hell are we going? We're not going to sit down and watch television. They're like, no, we're going to go outside and walk. I'm like, walk where? And everyone walked to the main piazza, and everybody just walked around. Every night, all the time. And you might say, oh, man, I wish we could do that in America. Well, okay, you can. You don't have to go to piazza. After you eat, walk around your block. Like, why not? Like, what the hell? Like, you know, Americans don't do that, you know? So this all adds up.
Yeah. Walking after a meal is so underrated for overall health. And just getting off the couch and not watching TV. And it doesn't have to be that long. Like, just getting out for 5-10 minutes. Getting exposed to like just being outside, air, sun, whatever, even if it's dark outside, but going out, it is
get really, on your treadmill in your house, walk around your living room. That's what I do. By the way, in America, as you know, not only do we not get up after dinner, holy shit, we eat dinner on the couch watching television. It's called TV dinners. I mean, no wonder America's sick. Anyways, okay, so anything else you want to add before we go on to taking the shoes off in the house?
No, I think that like talking about these, trying to mimic a little bit of like French, European, blue zone, whatever you feel like, understanding the thing with the portion sizes and not being like going to the extreme. I think that is something that we kind of need to bring back to the States and for everybody around the world, not following the trend that we have in this country.
100%. Okay, so Magnus, now before you walk into your house, do you take off your shoes? Yes or no?
So not anymore. Not the same as like in Sweden. It was funny because I just read an article about this. I think it might have been yesterday or the day before that, and I'm like, man, I need to get better, because it's so weird, because like in Sweden you automatically take off your shoes as soon as you get inside your house. I mean, you basically have the hallway, you put your shoes there. I'm falling into the American trend. I'm trying to, I mean, I usually walk when I'm inside, I take my shoes off as quickly as possible, but I might have like walking through the house, and then I usually put on a pair of flip-flops or slides or something like that, and usually walk with them inside. But so I have indoor shoes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so you take your shoes off. Okay, so good. Because I'm a little bit conflicted too, because I think we read the same article, and they were saying, I think you agree too. Like we need bacteria. We actually need viruses too. We need to be exposed to bacteria and virus. And if we're not, that's how you build an immune system, keep it strong. So, but this article was, saying like, all the the millions of bacteria you bring into your home if you don't take off your shoes and all this shit. And no pun intended. And I get it. Okay, but so I'm torn. So for me, I take off my shoes before I get into the house. I've been doing that for decades now. Okay, and
Yeah.
they say that yes, that's probably, I guess, better for people because right, you're not tracking all the bacteria and viruses from it and other stuff too, whatever. But at the same time, you need bacteria and viruses.
Yeah.
But anyways, I take off my shoes. I've always have, and it keeps the house cleaner too. You don't have to mop as much, but yeah. But I was gonna say is that yeah, so it's kind of torn. I tell because like I said, I know we need, but when I was growing up, Magnus, in America here, back in the 1970s and 80s, I look back and I cringe because Magnus, my family, we had wall to wall carpeting everywhere in the house. Okay, nobody ever took off their shoes. I look back, I want to throw up because I remember, like, as a child, I would take a shower or bath, put my pajamas on, and then I would just like play with my brothers on the rug, rolling around. And I'm thinking, like, I'm not even thinking bacteria, but but it makes you stronger. Honestly, it builds that immune system. And I don't remember getting sick all that often when I was a child. And it's funny, a Peruvian friend of mine a long time ago said to me, when doctors they encourage parents to build the baby's immune system, and what they do is they get a banana and they tell the parents, roll the banana on the ground of on the floor of your house and then feed the banana to the child. I was like, are you fucking crazy? But you know what? The point is, you need to have bacteria and bugs, and that's how you have an immune system. Don't go Lysoling everything. But at the same time, yeah, I take off my shoes, and my parents still don't take off their shoes. But then again, they're not rolling on the ground. I don't know. But anyways,
No, I think it's still like a cultural thing, like, and also how, like, just looking at how homes are designed in the States. Like, of course, it's different depending on if you're living in Southern California and up in Alaska, right? But we, like, in Sweden, you always have, like, basically it's from way back when you were wearing arms and you're like going into the church and going into houses that you actually had to like put your whatever, like, weapons you have on you put that aside and walk in. And after that, it became like, that's where you put your, like, your coats, your jackets, your mittens and all that stuff, all the winter thing, shoes, whatnot, and then you walk into the house. So it's kind of like a pre-hall or whatever we're supposed to call it, just a tiny, like, area
yeah,
where you put it,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you're used to it. But I mean, like, we don't really see that. They don't build houses that way here, like, in the same way. You, like, some people go into the garage or back door and have that,
Well,
or like main entrance, you usually don't have it because then you have it like somewhere else, you have to walk in a bit. So it's
yeah.
it's
And
it's a
also
cultural thing.
it also depends, like, when the houses were made. Like, the house I live in was made in the 1950s,
Yeah.
and I do have what they call a foyer. So I
Yeah.
have like a pre-room before I get into the dining and living room. So
Yeah.
I do take off my shoes there and whatever. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, anyway, so I would say people, it's probably better off take off your shoes. Don't walk with your shoes and sneakers in the house, because not only does it track, it's more, I guess, maybe for the you don't want to track in like mud from the house outside. But bacteria and viruses, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah, well, you also, like, you step in oil and different things too that might not be super healthy, and spread it around. And also, like, depending on if you have pets and things like that, you
Yeah.
like yeah, it's like, again, it's a balance thing,
Yeah.
right?
I always
Like,
wipe my dog's feet when we
yeah,
get.
one thing that I would like to add, though, like, it's actually good to take off your shoes and actually let your foot health, so you can spread out your toes and things like that. If you're not, like, buying these specific shoes, barefoot shoes, or with a wide toe box and things like that, and so you can spread, like, but we need to walk around without shoes too, like letting our feet do the work. I mean, it's the same thing. If you were constantly wearing boxing gloves, your hand-eye coordination and feel would definitely get worse. And that's the thing too, like we need to have a fairly good connection with our feet, because they tell us a lot about, like, moving, if there's an issue, things like that. So I'm always like, get some indoor shoes, flat shoes, walk barefoot, like, and then you should probably clean the floor so you're not walking around. But, like, walking without shoes on is actually really, really healthy.
Yeah, for the fee. Yeah, good. No, well put. So that's all I got to say, Magnus. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good. Yeah, you can follow the French people if you want. Maybe skip out on the smoking and not drinking as much. But hey, like again, we can all do better,
Yeah.
me included. So it's just about being smart and taking care of health and kind of see the bigger picture.
100%. All right. Well said, Magnus. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to check back in, share somebody love. And we got a lot more great content coming up. So, and off we go to the holiday season now. It's like after Halloween, boom, it's just Christmas. Like, what happened to Thanksgiving? Holy mackerel. So,
yeah, it's just, it goes so fast. I mean, like these weeks are just going to fly all of a sudden. It's like, oh, it's Christmas tomorrow.
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyways, but yes. Okay, guys. Thank you. Signing us off in 5, 4, 3, 2.